Breaking this hour, the Milwaukee Common Council has voted to approve a 2% sales tax increase. The vote was 12-3. The money generated from the additional dollars goes towards funding the city's pension program and ensure the city can maintain and increase law enforcement and other essential services. Mayor Cavalier Johnson is speaking now.
Where we did not get the amount of shared revenue back from the state that was necessary, where we did not have additional funding sources, such as a city sales tax that virtually every other major city in the United States has and is able to use as a tool for diversification of revenue. Today, the Common Council took a very important and extraordinary vote, a vote that I think is probably on par with the vote to adopt the city charter back in 1846. And the Common Council did what I've told many of you over the course of the past several weeks. When the chips are down and we need a big deal done, the Common Council will step through and do exactly that. That's exactly what happened today. I am thrilled that the council voted to advance this ordinance to me, which I will sign in the coming days.
Mayor, were any
behind the scenes to get those yes votes? We know there was delays today. People went into closed meetings as well this morning. What were you doing as we were waiting for that vote this morning?
Look, as I also have said, we would work up until the last minute. With council members in order to make sure that we would have the votes necessary to advance this file. That's exactly what we did. So we had conversations with alders several months ago, in the last several weeks, and the last several days, and up until the last minute before the vote happened this morning.
Were any type of promises made today to certain aldermen?
Well, alders, I think have a desire to make sure that our efforts and our values on diversity, equity, and inclusion continue to move forward in the city of Milwaukee.
Mayor, do you support a lawsuit then challenging and trying to strike down that language?
Look, I think that there are opportunities for us to be able to find ways to have the city's values represented, whether that's
specifically do you support
whether that's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or whether that's other avenues. I want to find ways to make sure that the city of Milwaukee is able to continue to do the things that I value, that the Common Council values as well.
Mayor, we heard a passionate plea from the three no votes about the concerns of people on fixed income, people in poverty. Is there a way to address that? And even with Alderman Bauman, who was a yes vote, talked about an air of racism around some of the restrictions. How will you approach those issues going forward with this historic vote?
Look, I understand. I really do. That this sales tax would be $2 on every $100 that's spent, 2 cents on every dollar. In a way that, while that may not seem like a lot to many people, it is a lot to some. And I see that. I value that. I understand that. I lived in the same sort of neighborhoods that some of the alders who spoke passionately against this spoke about. But I also understand, too, that those same constituents, those same community members who live in those neighborhoods, they depend on our city services the most. In those districts, in those neighborhoods, that's where the most calls for police service come from. In those districts, in those neighborhoods, that's where the most calls for fire service and emergency medical services come from. In those districts, that's where it's the most important to have library services that are available to our youngest learners, and as places for people who don't have access to air conditioning to be able to get a reprieve from the heat and warm summer days like we have now. So I understand exactly why alders had to make that impassioned plea. But I also understand the importance of us being able to provide the services to those people, to the most iconic businesses in the state of Wisconsin that are headquartered here, to our daily commuters who come in to Milwaukee every day from the WOW counties, and to the millions and millions of people who visit Milwaukee each and every single year who coincidentally use their dollars in hospitality and tourism and support the jobs that many of those people in those neighborhoods work. So that is important to me. And again, on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I have said in my private meetings with legislators in Madison, I've said in my public testimony at the Assembly, I've said in my public testimony at the State Senate, I've said publicly to numerous accounts in the media that I don't want to see those things present. And so we will continue to work to make sure that we can continue to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Milwaukee.
Again, that is Mayor Cavalier Johnson reacting to the news that the Milwaukee Common Council has voted to approve raising the city's sales tax to 2%. The mayor said that he is thrilled that the council voted to advance this ordinance, and when it gets to his desk, he will sign it. Again, that is the sales tax in Milwaukee has been raised 2%. That vote coming down 12-3.